actually supposed to talk to you about something very different today. But things changed yesterday, and I was actually going to withdraw from TEDx, but decided not to. I was going to talk to you a little bit about my experience and what I believe we as Palestinians need to be doing to strengthen the international solidarity movement with our freedom struggle. See, even though I was born and raised in the United States, I was in the occupied territories when the Second Intifada broke out. And I took to the streets with you to protest Israeli policies. And I saw how Israeli soldiers came at unarmed demonstrators with lethal force, so that within the first month of the Intifada, 141 Palestinians had been killed. Over 60% of them from bullet wounds to the chest and head area. Nobody was holding Israel accountable. And on top of that, the mainstream media was blaming us, the Palestinians, for the violence. So struggling to figure out how we can change the dynamics, a few friends, colleagues, and I founded the International Solidarity Movement. You know, we had this idea of this vision of thousands of people coming to the occupied territories. Maybe we'd all link arms and we'd block the Israeli military. We'd stop them from invading our towns and cities and villages. But at the same time, we didn't know if anybody would really come because it was a war zone here. And my parents from the United States were calling me, and my mom was crying, saying, "Hoida, please come home." And I said, "Mom, I am home. I'm not leaving." But that was me. I'm a Palestinian. I have a responsibility to my people's freedom struggle. Would other people that aren't Palestinians come? Take of their time and energy and literally put their lives on the line to come stand with us? We didn't know if it would work, but we tried, and we put out emails and we told people to come. Well, our thousands didn't come. Not even hundreds came. But our first campaign, 50 people came. And we marched and we dismantled roadblocks. We protested checkpoints and home demolitions. And those 50 people went home and told other people, and they wanted to come. And so more people came. And then those people went home and they told other people. They created alternative sources of media. And they started lobbying. And they engaged in boycott and divestment and sanctions. And now, 10 years later, over 7,000 people from over 30 different countries have come to Palestine to stand with us in our freedom struggle. And they go home and they lobby and they're working to change policies. And together we will make a difference. So I had wanted to tell you about, okay, those are the internationals, but what do we do? But not anymore. I want to use now the few minutes I have to tell you about one person that came. Vittorio Arrigoni from Italy. He first joined us here in 2004. And he marched with us in Tulkarem, in Biddu, in Bet Surik, against the wall. And he walked from Europe to Palestine. And then he walked from the north of Jenin, where the wall was starting, to Jerusalem. And after he left, I met him again in 2008. During the summer, we were organizing boats to break Israel's illegal siege on Gaza. And he came with us. And we made it to Gaza, and he decided to stay with others to restart the international solidarity movement there. And since 2008, he's been living in Gaza. Despite the fact, numerous times I told him, "Vittorio, you have to come out for your own sanity." He also wasn't well. He had kidney stones, and I said, maybe you should seek medical attention in Europe, but he didn't want to leave. And he was in Gaza during Operation Cast Lead. Recently, he was thinking about leaving because he learned that his father was really sick in Italy and he wanted to go see him. But a couple of weeks ago, Israel restarted its bombing campaign on Gaza. It was escalating its violence and he didn't think he could leave. And so he didn't, he stayed. And 2 days ago, he was kidnapped. And we saw a video on the internet showing him blindfolded and bleeding. And his captors were demanding the release of some of their members or they would execute Vittorio. And even though that thought was horrifying, I thought, there's no way. There's no way they would kill him. Not only because our people wouldn't do that, but also because it's Vittorio. And I have not known anyone more passionate about Palestine, more Palestinian than most Palestinians I know. He loved Palestine, Palestinians, and he especially loved Gaza. But in the early morning hours of yesterday, we found that indeed he was executed. And so this isn't a traditional TEDx talk, but if you'll indulge me, I just wanted you to see a little bit of Vittorio, to know the love he had for Palestine, and to know a little bit about what he stood for. And I think all the people that he met, that had a chance to meet him, will carry his spirit forward even though he isn't here with us anymore. I had the honor and pleasure of knowing and working with him. And I'm really sorry that his last moments in Palestine were as they were. But see him before that.
Sono arrivato a Gaza il 23 agosto 2009 tramite le navi del Free Gaza Movement. Io e una quarantina di compagni attivisti internazionali da 17 paesi diversi siamo arrivati rompendo un assedio che durava dal 1967 via mare. Ricordo quel giorno come uno dei giorni più felici, più emozionali della mia vita. Migliaia di palestinesi sono riversati al porto per dare il benvenuto alle prime barche internazionali.
Ai pescatori non è concesso pescare, ai contadini non è concesso coltivare le loro legittime terre. Quando lo fanno, come oggi, cecchini israeliani si appostano al confine e sparano con l'intento di uccidere o ferire questi civili disarmati. Anche in questo caso, con i miei compagni dell'International Solidarity Movement, documentiamo i crimini israeliani e cerchiamo con i nostri corpi di difendere queste vittime innocenti.
Vengo da una famiglia di partigiani, i miei nonni materni hanno combattuto e sono morti contro un'occupazione, un'altra occupazione, che in Italia era quella nazifascista. Per cui probabilmente nel mio DNA, nel mio sangue, ci sono delle particelle che mi spingono a combattere per la libertà e per i diritti umani.
was his favorite song, Unadikum. He got me to teach him the words. And as Vittorio would always say, free, free Palestine.
Can you ask a minute to stay for a second? Okay? Huwaida didn't feel so good yesterday, and I think the reasons are quite obvious. What I want to say is we do want to thank you for actually staying here and making this speech and really exemplifying exactly what this is all about. And I want to ask you, and I know if you can't speak, it's okay, but how do you do it?
I really think it's about what each and every one of us do. And when we see people like Vittorio and others like him, that inspires. And then we look internally and we see ourselves. We see how despite all odds, the enormous ugliness that we face every day living under occupation, and yet we still have a strong will for life. And Vittorio and others outside like him see that, and they want to come and stand with us. So that combination, our spirit and the determination and beautiful souls and big hearts of the people all over the world that are supporting us, that gives me the power to go on. And I think as long as we think like that and look at each other, look around and see how strong we are collectively, not only do we do it, but we know that in the end we will be victorious.
I mean, I think it's very obvious. Everybody would love to thank you for the work that you do, for actually being here today, for staying here with us today under such circumstances. We as a TED team would love to thank all of you as well. I think this is the defining meaning, I think, of inspiration, and the fact that TED is in unfortunate circumstances, but لازم نضلنا مكملين. We have to go on. We will give you an opportunity now to have a break, a 20-minute break. Please do remember what you've seen here, but also talk amongst yourselves. This is about not just inspiration, but ideas. Thank you, Huwaida. Thank you to you for being here today.